The first internet collected the information. The second internet created the framework for communication, right? This third thing, this Web3 NFT thing, it's going to capture the consumerization of assets, and the stakes are fucking high. I'm gonna give you such a clear picture that I think will help people. Every one of you has an aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, friend, grandma. When you go into their house, they collect marbles. They collect little miniature elephants. They collect magnets. Every state they go to, they pick up a matchbox. Humans are inherently hoarding assets. And we use them for ourselves because we like it and we get caught up in the nostalgia and the story, and we use it to flex.
Yep.
Flexing a painting or your Winnie the Pooh collection that's epic in your house is kind of hard except for the people that come through. The blockchain is going to accelerate at a scale the way I thought that it would accelerate communication with social, and that's why I think people are underestimating it. To me, it's the most similar thing to web internet stocks 99, 2000 that I remember. I remember being there. I was young, so I wasn't as experienced and didn't have as many pattern recognitions and reps, but I had a lot of the good ingredients, right? And I remember sitting there and saying, man, a lot of these businesses make no sense. Like, just no sense. I'm like, how could they be worth this much money? They're losing so much money. And I didn't understand Wall Street, so I wasn't sure. But when the affirmation of March and April 2000 came along and most things got smoked out, it kind of was a monumental moment for me because the only stock that I bought was Amazon. And because I really thought it was like a real business, even though it was losing money in a different way than other things. It had an actual business, like back to how Sam and I started, like revenue mattered. Like the other ones didn't have fucking revenue, you know, like no customer gave a fuck. And I'm always like, does the customer care? So what do I think overall? I think people are grossly underestimating NFTs. I think right now people think of them as collectible and art and flip game. And for a lot of us that have that American Picker, garage sale, sports cards for me, like, and there's a ton of people that love that. Like that's why half of Wall Street, that's where they go. Like there's a lot of those people, and that's amazing. And that's big. That's a big industry. Like over the next 15 years, big. Collecting, flipping, you know, you've got an entire generation of kids that go on Fortnite and Madden and 2K and buy digital assets to flex. So that's gonna fucking play out. But I think that's just a nuance of NFTs. I think people misunderstand the utility nature of smart contracts. I believe in the next 15 years that nobody writes a book with a publisher, they do it through an NFT infrastructure. I believe that in 15 years, nobody launches a record label by having a record label give them the bag. They're going to get it from crowdfunding by selling NFTs and giving a percentage of royalties. I believe that there's not a single sporting event or concert in 10 years that the ticket is not an NFT, because there's no incentive for that organization and that artist or people to launch it as anything but an NFT, because a QR code or a piece of paper means nothing. But the NFT, if Luka Doncic drops 100 points in that game, that becomes a forever collectible. There's $1 trillion fucking worth of ticket stubs that have sold over the last 25 years on eBay. You know, that all goes to royalties to the person. So what's really fascinating to me, I'll give you a weird one. If you own a home that is wildly unique and is a $25 million home on a beach or something wild, right? You NFT that fucking home right now, put into the smart contract that you get 1% of every transaction of this home in perpetuity. And the first person that's gonna buy it from you is gonna be fine with that. They don't give a fuck, because these things are long leads, right? You buy it, you sit on it for 13, 15 years. So like, there's so much that NFT blockchain realities are gonna bring that I think people are underestimating it. I do think in the next 5 years, there will be a aha to what NFT blockchain smart contracts mean. And I think it will trickle into real estate. People will buy unique properties. And I think they're gonna make incredible in perpetuity monies that maybe they themselves won't get the crazy, because you know how often the houses turn per se. But man, listen, if you're listening to this right now, listen, I've got a real good sense to who listens to this, because you guys got a lot of fans. You are either there or you are aspiring to be there from a professional standpoint.
Right.
For the people that are listening right now who've been fortunate, and we're sitting in this weird moment right now because of crypto and NFT, where there's some people that have really come into some real money in like on making a very smart play. If you're sitting with some money, you know, these are the things you're thinking about. Like, what can I do that like is fun for me, but also leaves for my generational wealth? I want to do shit that still is good. Like the house is perfect, right? Because it'll be fun for you 16 or 2 or 9 weeks a year, but you're also creating something that's an asset. Let me say it one more time, in perpetuity.
Right.
Like once it goes on there and gets NFT'd, it's NFT'd.
Right.
It is a contract. Like there's the ABA team. Do you know this story about the ABA team from St. Louis? They merged the leagues. The St. Louis team is out. And the fuckers like, fuck you, we're not signing the deal. And so what they did was, it was like, I don't know what the finite details were, but they needed them to sign off to make the merger happen. And they tell them that your franchise doesn't advance because we're folding some. They fight because they really loved basketball. They're like New York, like schmata guys who bought like TV, right? At the end, they go, okay, well, if that's the case, we have to be treated financially as at the time, the 26th or the 22nd or the 24th NBA franchise. And in perpetuity, we get the economic split for that. So we're out of the league, but economy, that we get hundreds of millions when that was like a different number over those 70s, 80s, and 90s. I do think they got bought out, like the grandkids got bought out by the NBA, like before the last big deal. But like, wow. When I talk about NFTs, I think about the fashion industry. I think about why somebody owns a Rolex. I think about social media. Like, how about this? You know how everyone's like, social media is full of shit. Like everyone takes photos and fakes it. You know what's going to be a much better social identity? What tokens do you have in your wallet publicly?
Yes.
Like my public wallet is going to represent me because it's not only going to be like what I believe in, CryptoPunks, you know, my VeeFriends collection, like, but it's also going to be like all my Jets tickets. Right. And I'll give you a good one. I haven't mentioned Dave Matthews publicly in my entire life, but if somebody went if this was going on for 30 years, I'd be like every day on Twitter, I'd probably get Gary, you went to Dave Matthews New Year's 99 Madison Square Garden? I'm like, oh yeah, my friend Tokyo Joe loved it. Like, you know, it's a truth indicator. Right. For me, I see NFTs. I've been like kind of like flirting in the winter. I have my crazy eureka, like, no, this is the fucking right moment. I bought ETH a long time ago. Aaron Battalion, shout out, former CTO of Living Social, got me on in 2015, 16. I've been watching, but I wait to the consumer, the normal shit, the marketing agency St. Louis moment, not the fucking hardcore infrastructure nerd shit. That's just not my jam.